Hello. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about one of my personal preferences, which is to buy coral frags versus buying the colonies. Now, please understand me. I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying, that a person shouldn't buy a colony or it's not good to buy a colony. I'm just simply listing my personal opinion on why I prefer to buy my corals as fragments. The first one, which would be the most obvious one for anybody who's looking at or comparing them, would be the cost. Coral fragments are a lot cheaper than buying a big, huge colony, with multiple heads on them and stuff like that. You can get and say, I'll use frog spawns and hammers, which, no surprise there on that since that's most of what my tank is. Frog spawns and hammers, you can go with, say, a 1 to maybe 2 head coral frag for $20 to $35, or you can get the same coral with, multiple heads, 5 or 6 heads on it, and you're paying $80 to $100 for the exact same type of coral because it's got multiple heads, it's a bigger colony, and everything like that. Now, keep in mind the prices I listed were for the run-of-the-mill ones. We're not talking, Holy Grail or anything like that. So the second one would be frags are easier to monitor for quarantine for pests. When you have colonies and you have these, particularly for something like a frog spawn or hammer coral, you've got these long flowing tentacles, so it's a lot easier to not see potential pests like aptasia, vermitid snails, that might pop up until, generally speaking, you've got a decent sized problem there with them. Whereas if you have, say, a single head frag, if a pest is going to pop up in the first, 30 days or so, you're probably going to notice it a lot quicker just because it's a lot easier to see one that pops up. And of course, you have the lower risk of not having as many pests potentially hitchhiking on a single frag head versus, say, a 5 or 6 head or even, 10 or 11 size heads or whatever it might be. The other thing that I really like about coral frags, it's a lot, in my opinion, it's a lot more fun to watch them grow out. It's so much easier to track their growth and development from, even, week to week, or in some cases day to day, depending on, the type of coral, how quickly it grows. And so it's just really interesting to see. I've gotten to see a hammer that I purchased, a branching hammer that I purchased at 2 to 3 heads about 2.5 years ago. It's now got 11 heads, possibly even 12 every time I turn around and sprouting a new head. And just see it grow out into this big, nice big colony. Which is, of course, the other advantage of frags is that given enough time and as long as you're taking care of things, a frag becomes a colony. So you end up getting ultimately a colony anyways. So colonies, as I said, they're the instant gratification factor of the hobby, but you're going to pay for it in a big way. And, and the prices that I gave earlier were just for the common variety colonies. You want to talk about something like a Holy Grail colony, you better start looking into which one of your kidneys you want to sell, because they're very, very expensive. And so there's lots of different aspects to this, as far as preference and everything. And some people do prefer colonies, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. As mentioned, this is just my personal preference. Especially, for a person who's looking to get into the hobby, frags are just a safer way to go. It's cheaper. That way, if something does go wrong or it ends up being one of those corals that no matter what you try and do, no matter your best efforts, you can't keep it alive, you're not taking a massive loss on, a coral frag that's just stubborn. So, anyways, those are just my reasons for why I personally prefer coral frags. Obviously, everybody's got their own preference on what they want to do, and that's all I've got, and thanks for watching.